Good morning to everyone across Canada joining us today. I am Mike Smith reporting for the CBC Live in Ottawa. I am joined alongside Pierre Trudeau and René Lévesque as we are here to discuss the conclusions made about the Quebec referendum not being passed. After recently taking power in 1976, the Parti Québécois and their leader René Lévesque decided to put their plan into play and have a referendum which essentially would separate Quebec from Canada. Lévesque and the Parti Québécois felt that this was needed, as there had been several rebellions as Quebec citizens believed that their Quebec needed more independence as a nation, some of which included bombings of government facilities as well as bombings of leaders' houses. These rebellions sparked the birth of the FLQ. This group committed several crimes, including the execution of Cabinet Minister Pierre Laporte, who was later found in the trunk of a car. Thus, Lévesque and the Québécois felt that a separation was very necessary. The Québécois' main enemy was Pierre Trudeau, who was not fond on the idea of Quebec separating from Canada. He believed strongly in the Confederation and that Canada must stay together as a country. When Trudeau was overruled by Joe Clark in 1979, the Québécois saw this as their time to set up the referendum. René Lévesque set May 20th, 1980 as the date that everyone would vote and to hopefully take Quebec out of Confederation and into sovereign Quebec. We now turn to the media for some questions directed to Trudeau and Mr. Lévesque.
In your opinion, how do you feel that this referendum has had an impact on Quebec?
I believe this referendum will have a large impact on Quebec as a whole, and that there are positives to take away from it. The key reason this referendum was because Quebec wanted to become independent as its own nation and be freed from Confederation. I strongly think when Canadians become aware of this referendum, that they just saw this as a threat to Quebec posing on the country. Therefore, when Canadians heard about this referendum being put into play, I truly believe they were shocked. Therefore, it shows Canadian citizens what Quebec is willing to do anything for what they believe in. And although the referendum wasn't passed, I believe Quebec will gain much more respect and sympathy than they did in previous years.
How do you feel that this referendum will be significant for Canada as a whole?
I believe that this referendum will have a very large impact on Canada and will never be forgotten. If this referendum would have been passed, Quebec would have removed themselves from Confederation and would have become a sovereign Quebec. Some of the benefits of separating from Canada for Quebec would have included being able to create their own laws as well as creating relations abroad. Once other parts of Canada would have found out about Quebec separating and the benefits that they were going to receive, they would have thought that they had the power to attempt and accomplish anything that they wanted to. As a result, this could have definitely led to worse events, which could have potentially destroyed Canada. Finally, there is no doubt that this Quebec referendum has still and will continue to be significant to Canada.
Thank you.
No problem.
Do you think that another referendum will occur in the future? Or do you think that Quebec is now comfortable with Confederation?
Fortunately, I do believe that another referendum will take place, but I do not think that there will be another one in the near future. I don't mean to intend that it is impossible, but I find it very unlikely for another referendum to occur in the next few years. It is unfortunate that this is the case, but the situation could be much worse. If the referendum had been passed, it would have benefited Quebec in several ways. It would have allowed Quebec to create its own laws as well as establish relations abroad. Although the referendum wasn't passed, I strongly believe that Quebec is better off now than it was before the referendum. Before the referendum, we were simply not happy due to Confederation and what we wanted to become more independent. I believe that though the referendum, Quebec has gained a lot of respect and independence that will continue to grow. Therefore, the referendum has allowed Quebec to become more comfortable with Confederation, which will benefit us for our future years.
Thank you. Also, how has the referendum changed the way that the rest of the world views Canada?
I believe that the world now views Canada as a much more strong and stable country than they did before the referendum. Before this Quebec referendum, it was clear that Canada was having problems, especially with the Parti Québécois, in terms of having them join Confederation. But through the referendum, the Québécois have allowed themselves to become much more comfortable within the Confederation. The Parti Québécois has definitely gained many positives out of this referendum, including respect, confidence, and hope, which has made it easier for them to settle into Confederation. As a result of this, it makes Canada's international reputation much better, therefore allowing Canada to be looked at as a very strong, capable, and efficient country. I believe that we have done well getting through this referendum, and though I didn't support it, I believe the world should respect the effort that they made for separation.
Ah, great. Do you think that this will spark a potential war? Is there anything to worry about in terms of war?
No, I certainly believe that this referendum will not spark a war between anyone. Although one could argue that it could spark a war between the Quebecois and the rest of Quebec or Canada, I do not believe that something of this magnitude would have the ability to start a war. Like stated earlier, I strongly believe that the Quebecois now settled comfortably into the Confederation, so there is no need for a potential war. On the other hand, if Quebec didn't settle properly, then I would understand that a potential war may occur. But that was not the case, so there's absolutely no need for a war between anyone, and therefore there's nothing to worry about, at least for the near future. That's it.